Welcome to episode 47 of the ARC podcast, and boy am I excited to give you this particular introduction. The Labor Party, the unions and the superannuation, how funds transfer across to each other and how they're actually in bed together with certain deals.
The biggest fund manager in the world is Vanguard, and it's an index fund. Charges 0.25%. They went through a process for 2 years and couldn't get a licence to be a superannuation fund manager in Australia.
People don't know about this. They don't know about the unions and the hand in glove with Labor, and they don't know about the superannuation funds and how they use that. Can you please explain that to people?
There's actually 3 layers of bureaucracy. The rules change is that there must be a pre-selection at least 12 months before the next election.
Council level is one of the most corrupt, and they sell themselves so cheap. Yeah.
Everyone knows who the captain is.
Absolutely.
Right.
There's an aura about them.
There isn't an even distribution of Conservative Party membership throughout Canada.
Well, the immigration is nuts. I mean, the idea that he lost his seat and seeing the amount of immigration they got in, Indians coming in, it's like, what's happened to Canada?
Socialism sounds great.
Yes.
I could give you money from these people over here, or the benefits or whatever. How good is that? Aren't we all working together? You know, the gender transition stuff, where once upon a time, it's a real problem for between 1 in 10,000 and 1 in 100,000. It's now 200 in 10,000.
So they use their stake in the companies with your money to push DEI on the boards.
Why do we have high immigration? Who's making the money out of this?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 47 of the ARC podcast, and boy am I excited to give you this particular introduction. We're going to be talking about the unions, the superannuation, the unholy alliance between the Labor Party, the unions and the superannuation, how funds transfer across to each other and how they're actually in bed together with certain deals. So this is the one place where you can really hear this sort of stuff. You won't hear it in other places. And to help me meander through this particular topic, I've got the head of the Red Union, Graeme Haycroft, and I want to welcome you to the show, Graeme.
Thank you, Joel.
Now, before we get into it, I did just want to plug your website, because I think what you do is really phenomenal. You've got some great guys working with you, like Jack Maguire, who I've met, lovely guy. And this is redunion.com.au. You've got associations for nurses, for teachers in every state, the Independent Workers Union as well, and the Medical Professionals Society. And I first heard about the Red Union during COVID. You guys were sticking up for workers' rights. I thought you might be some communistic, Red Union, but it turns out you're just, red-blooded Aussies that are sick of what's happened with this oligopoly of unions and whatever. How did you get into unions? How did you found this particular union?
Well, I retired in 2012, and I had a successful business. I used to employ over 2,000 people, and I was a bit infamous because I'd involved in the shearing industry. I introduced subcontract shearing just after the white combs thing, and basically ended the AWU's hegemony in that industry. Also did, we set for a 2-year period, we did high-rise building sites on the Sunshine Coast, a couple in Brisbane, without the CFMEU, hadn't been done before nor since. So I retired, and I was doing okay. There was a very good business. I didn't need to work ever again. And so I mucked around for a while. I've been a member for the LNP for 45 years, and I was good friends with the then president, Bruce McIver, and Barry O'Sullivan was the then treasurer. He later became senator. And we were talking, and I said, someone should do something about these unions, because they give so much money to the ALP. And it's a major source. They always outspend us, 10 to 1. And unless we do something about it, we're always going to be second rate, the bureaucratic B team. And they said that'd be a good idea. And so I was asked by a couple of nurses, actually, a clique of nurses. They were friends. I think, why don't you start a nurses' union, Graeme?
Yeah.
The barbecue, having a few grogs. Oh, yeah. And you go, they were all nurses, right? My accountant's wife was one, and the couple of the, sort of part of that group, the lawyers' mates, and anyway. So we started the nurse union. Kicked off with Kath Seaver, who had worked for me in my old business, and we sort of mucked around. And we got 200 members in the first year, right? So this was being somewhat of a drain on the system, but I did plenty of dough. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
So we did that and built it up over time. And Jack Maguire joined about 2016, 17.
Yeah.
He was just he ended up doing what I'd been doing at QUT. So we had really, independent of each other, thought along the same lines. We still do. We don't agree on everything at times, but
sure.
He's like a grandson's older than him, so there's a bit of an age gap, but that doesn't matter. So anyway, we built it up, and over time, then we built in a teachers' union after that. And in particular, what was really motivating me, I think, was how the money got across and how the money stuff actually worked.
Right.
How much money was actually going. I thought initially it was about $200.
Right.
We were charging around about half what the registered unions were charging. Because I just guessed a number.
Sure.
And it wasn't quite right, because I was having to feed in $100,000 a year. So so we upped it a bit to make it about
break even.
About 2/3. So that sort of covered it. And so the things just sort of gradually grown, and we learnt then how much money was really being made. Right.
And you guys are now like 24,000 members at least, almost 25,000. You're on the path to 25,000. And
once you get past 24,000, you're on nearly 25,000.
Yeah.
And when we get to 25,000, we'll be nearly 26,000.
Part of the reason I really wanted to get you in studios, we've been chatting for a while now, and you've been around the block. You know a lot about what the issues are in Australia, and if you can define the issues, you're 50% there to solving the issues. And I also want to cover some of the solutions that you've got. But, well, tell me, how does this funding mechanism, this transfer of funds, because as a third-party campaigner, Turning Point Australia, we have to show in certain elections like New South Wales who donated the money, if it was above a certain amount, and where it got, basically how we got spent it, and make sure we have receipts and whatever. If the unions, how does this help the unions help the Labor Party by getting around some of these funding laws?
No, you're still thinking in terms of the money leaving the union and going to the ALP.
No, I don't mean donation. I mean expenditure on behalf of Labor.
No, that's just, the unions are exempted from this. It's all marketing. We need to do research on nurses to find out what issues are important to nurses before the election. And
it's research, but it's blatant advertising for Labor.
Yeah.
Right.
And it went on, and it's all through the social media accounts, and it's they've got to watch some stuff. But remember, they wrote the rules. So they know
through Labor, through their legislative arm.
You got it in one. Yeah, the legislative arm wrote the rules.
Sure.
They're just politicians. They don't know anything. So it's the union people who get the KCs in and say, we need to write this the right way, this is the best, and that's how it happens. So it's a major challenge, and I thought when I started it back in 2014 we started, and I thought, 3 or 4 years, everyone in the LNP will see that this is a fabulous idea, we're going to stop the funding. Wrong.
Right. Useful idiot sort of thing. So the Labor Party, a lot of people are thinking, look, elbow. No. There's actually a whole machine behind him of funding, of muscle, of legislative frameworks that they write up, and then he just has to pass it. He just has to be the electable face for it.
Yeah, so there's 2 levels, the state and federal. But what was I going to say about then the middle block? I can't think what it was I was going to say. Ask me another question and we'll come back to it.
That's all right. We can come back to it. We were talking about the electoral funding laws.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So obvious. How can I forget this? The QNMU, that's the nurse union, Queensland Nurse and Midwifery Union in Queensland. It's got around about 200 people. The QTU, Queensland Teachers Union, has around about the 200 people. Jack Maguire and I could run the QNMU with 50 people and still do better, and the same with the teachers. So there's about 100 people, maybe 150, that aren't doing anything for teachers, aren't doing anything for nurses.
Sure.
Right? That's how it happens.
Right.
Most of it's wasted. They just sit around, playing tiddlywinks with each other. But they've got this huge pile of money, and it's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
So
it kind of reminds me of, and I'm not alleging that they're doing anything illegal here, but it reminds me of like in the UK, there's a big problem with Albanian barbers, where it's just a shop front for a drug outfit.
Right.
And it's like, charities that say they're charities, but they actually don't do anything for the kids, like some of those African sort of charities where you sponsor a child, and a small dollar that gets to there. It's just these corporate structures I've been relatively late to the party on. I mean, I'm only 28, but I'm starting to understand, these things can be very useful, especially if you hold the pen that governs them.
Well, I thought that's what the United Nations used to do. I went to South America with my wife. It wasn't really a honeymoon. It was a bit after that big major trip, and we met her daughter over there. She was travelling independently, and her daughter Melissa had been funding a young child in the where was it? In South Africa somewhere. It wasn't Bolivia. It was somewhere, one of the states.
Sure.
And we were staying, and she lined up and said, "I'd like to meet the child." Well, wasn't that an interesting exercise? It turns out the money actually didn't go to the child. It sort of went to the whole village, and along with everyone else's money. But there wasn't very much money that actually got to the village.
Right.
It's only when you go and see, sponsor a child. Well, you're giving them, might be giving $100 a year or whatever. $2 gets to them, and 98 goes to run the bureaucracy of the United Nations.
That's insane. No, when I first started working in construction, and you're getting quite a bit of money in your hand, cash in hand. I was like, you know what? I've got a bit of a charitable bone in my body. I'd like to sponsor 2 children, and I was still a student. It's not like I was making a ton of money. I was making about $600 to $1,000 a week. And I managed to sponsor a couple of kids, $95. I managed to do it for a couple of years until I realised that less than 10% of what I was funding was actually getting to the kids.
Yeah, you're lucky for that.
I was like, lucky. Well, from what I can hear, it sounds like less than 1 or 2% was getting to the individual child that you're speaking of.
Yeah.
And that made me sick. I was like, what kind of criminal organisation are you guys running here? That, how could you do... I get it, like you've got a lot of costs, and you've got to get the resources there. But I know charities in the Middle East right now where 100% of the funds, maybe 5 to 10%, is what doesn't get to the kids or to the intended purpose. But only less than 2% getting to the kid? I mean, this is criminal.
Well, I mean, this particular... I didn't actually go on the trip. I stayed in the hotel because I thought, it involved walking miles.
Yeah.
Way and in Australia, saying whoop whoop. So it was none of the people who were sort of donating could find these people. There had to be a special organisation, special people had to come and go with them, make sure we didn't ask any wrong. I wasn't physically there.
North Korea, huh? They have to go to this shop, this well-stocked shelves.
It's really sad.
Yes, but going back to the unions, basically they serve an intended purpose. They're basically the fundraising arm and the muscle of the Labor Party.
Yes, you probably in Queensland the philosophic arm is the teachers' union. It's the policy arm. It determines that our children must be sexualised at an early age with gay pride stuff and all this bloody gender. Let's discuss your gender for 5 and 8-year-olds.
Yeah,
that's all coming out of the
right.
The teachers' union have driven that.
Right.
And we wonder why on the gender transition stuff, where once upon a time it was It's a real problem for between 1 in 10,000 and 1 in 100,000 kids.
Yeah.
It's real,
Yeah.
but it's very rare. It's now 200 in 10,000. You know?
Yeah.
What the? That's a 200 times increase.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty obvious that it's been going, you know, all the stuff going through the schools. What on earth do we have gay pride flags in schools for?
Why are we shutting the Harbour Bridge down for the LGBT celebration issue?
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Can we talk about, the things that made Australia great? Can we, celebrate those things?
Well, I mean, the incidence of gaydom is 1.7%, I think, for males and 0.8 for females. I mean, they've got every right to do what they want to do, but do we have to stop the place for 2%? And what are we supposed to be being brave about? I don't really understand it. And I do. I know why they do it. Actually,
Of course, in the face.
They've worked out that the conservative side of politics has no idea how to deal with the stuff. They have no idea. Look, the abortion up to the day of birth. There's no one in the Labor Party that actually believes that's a good idea. A few maddies, perhaps. But there are a whole series of LNP state politicians voted for it, changed sides, and voted for this. Tim Nichols, the current health minister, did.
So why would they do it then? Why would the Labor Party sort of trigger the...
Because they know that by getting these fools to do this stuff, that it separates their core. Right?
Right.
And we should talk about what's happened.
Divide and conquer.
Well, what's the membership of the LNP Liberal Party in Australia?
Christian.
30,000?
Yeah.
It's 10,000 in Queensland.
Yeah.
Average age is bit of an argument whether it's 72 or 74. Doesn't matter. It should be 54, 44 or 34, maybe 30, It should be 30 years younger. And you do a little bell curve, right? With probably 2,000 of those people are over 80. And in the LNP in Queensland, you don't have to pay a fee over 80. So are they even alive? I mean, the LNP wouldn't know because they no longer collect money. So, okay, let's say there's 10,000. New South Wales, I've been told that the membership's collapsed down to about 5,000.
That's right. Yeah, that's
In
right.
Victoria, they were saying, oh, we're doing really well. We're nearly 6,000. Yeah, I'll see that when I believe it. And South Australia, Antic and Plimer, Professor Ian Plimer, they've got to work, and they've got theirs up to about 5,000, which is literally doubled what it was. And they're actually operating properly. And pro-rata to Queensland, they're far more effective than Queensland. Western Australia, I don't think the party exists, does it? It's just a disaster.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and the reason why, it's not hard to see, and no one has really talked about this. Why has the membership dropped away? The membership's dropped away because the elected members are no longer connecting with, or vice versa, with the actual members. People say, I didn't vote for that to happen. Huh? Where was the one LNP member anywhere in Australia that said, this immigration thing at 500,000 people a year, this is causing a lot of problems. Why are we doing it? Where's the one voice? Where's the one voice? There isn't one.
Yep.
They're all terrified. And we've seen that happen, and that's why Heath got up and I've sort of got together and say we must do something about it.
God bless you guys.
Well, the issue, it's actually simple to fix, right? Politicians should have a connection with a membership group. Otherwise, what are they there for?
Like a union sort of thing.
Well, I mean, the union's probably just it's a conservative institution, which there used to be lots of. I mean,
Sure.
I don't think the standard of the politicians have changed much in the 45 years. They're a particular breed. They're needy people who want to be agreeable and appeasements. It's a bit unfair.
Yeah.
They mean well,
Yeah.
but of their nature, they're pleasers. They want to, they're good with a cup of coffee and a chat, and they can do that very well. They're not particularly good at standing firm on principle.
No.
Particularly when there's no potential threat to them if they don't do that.
Yeah.
And what's happened is we've removed effectively the threat of what happens when you go against what your members want. That's what's happened. So it's not that hard actually to reinstate that. The Canadians have done it.
Yeah.
So we can copy them.
Yeah, absolutely. Was it 1 million members or something over there? And they have a popular vote for who they want the leader to be?
There's two things, yes. So that's it. And when Menzies started the Liberal Party, the population was 6 or 7 million. Menzies' party, the Liberal Party, had 60,000 members, 1% of the population. We've got 26 million, we should have 250,000 members, if it's 1%. The Canadians have got 2%. Now, what they've done, I might say the Canadians haven't managed to get a prime minister into that system, but that's not the problem with the system. There's a number of reasons why that hasn't happened in Canada. It'll certainly happen next time. But in Australia, all we have to do is basically go back to and say, righto, if you're going to be a member of the LNP in, say, Cairns, then you've got to be pre-selected by the members in Cairns. I'll just talk about state at this stage. Just federal's the same thing, only just different, but it's slightly different. So let's talk about that. So the members pre-select the person in Cairns. And if an election comes up in every other electorate, the members in each place do the pre-selection. Now, that sort of happens now, except that there are almost never challenges to pre-selections. Pre-selections they should be held about 12 months before an election. Yep. There's always some crisis where it has to be deferred and, oh dear, it's too late. We'll have to have an emergency proclamation, and every sitting member gets re-endorsed.
Yeah.
So, save their $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
Because politicians, that's all. The only thing that really interests them is, can I be re-elected?
Yep.
That's it.
And so the left have been white-anting it and turning up at these pre-selections. That's what you're saying?
No. The party itself, there is without the base, if you like, the members having any real say, inevitably the politicians will go left because they want to please people. Socialism sounds great.
Yes. Yeah.
How good is Joel? I could give you money from these people over here.
Yeah.
And I'm giving you the money or the benefits or whatever. How good is that? Aren't we all working together? So there you go.
Free healthcare, free this, free that. We should have a minimum wage of $25 an hour. It's beautiful.
And the government's to do everything for you. So what the Canadians have done is the same as what the LNP does and the Liberal Party in the other states, but they never have competitive or rarely have competitive pre-selections. The second thing's the Canadian, I'll get on to that, and I'll cover that now. What must happen in the rules change is that there must be a pre-selection at least 12 months before the next election. No excuses. The only people who vote, one vote, the only people who vote are the members in that area. If it's Cairns or it's down here, whatever the seat is, those people vote. Then you do a second thing, as they've done in Canada. The members themselves then decide who the leader is. And this is the wisdom of crowd stuff. Right? Politicians say, only we know who's going to be good at doing it. Oh, what bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crowds are pretty good at it. I don't know whether you ever played team sports or not. You must play football.
Yeah.
Everyone knows who the captain is.
Absolutely.
Right?
There's an aura about them.
Everyone knows. Sometimes it might be one. There might be two. There's never half a dozen. Every team has a captain, and everybody in the team knows who the captain is. We have an innate ability to pick leaders. It's a survival trait. That's how we survived as tribes, by saying, you're going to be the leader, you're going to take us out of here, and we'll follow you blindly.
That's right.
And we saw that in the COVID thing.
Sure.
So the members get to vote and they decide. So you pay, in Canada it's $15, equivalent to $20 here. So you pay $20. You get to decide, because you bring local government to this as well. If the local area wants to run in local government, okay, then you get this. If you're in your ward, then some guy says, I want to run for the LNP. Okay, you'll vote on whether he's the guy or whether someone else will be. And then you also do the same for the local member and for the leader. And if you go to federal, you'd have the members voting for the senators. This is what the kerfuffle's about. The senators have a lot of power because they're all elected by the delegates of the parties under different sets of rules. So what we've got to do is take all of the pre-selection, all the selection of politicians out of the hands of everyone other than the members.
Sure.
It's simple. Now, it's not easy because every single politician is opposed.
That's right. And the empire will strike back 100%.
Oh no, this will be. They're going to hate me, but I'm not doing it for them. I've got great grandchildren. I'm doing it for them. What we've got to do is make the politicians responsible to somebody. The people that are selecting them. But after all, a political party is about a mob of people getting together and saying, these are the policies that we want pursued. We'll raise some money and we'll get these people into Parliament so that what we want will come into law.
Yeah.
Now, this has changed it because the government has got involved. And this is a major problem because the money they're getting is huge. I mean, I went to LNP convention, the closed session, because I was a delegate. I hadn't been one for 10 years. And the Treasurer gave his report, didn't give us a number. No, he would have been told to do that. I mean, everyone knows the LNP in Queensland is about around $30 million because you've got this formula that anyone can work it out. And all the other divisions of the Liberal Party were probably similarly flush.
Yeah.
They don't need members. Right? And that's the view of a lot of them.
Yeah. They want to keep it tight, easy to control.
Yeah.
There's less members, they know what's going to happen.
Well, eventually you're inviting reform.
Yeah.
A reform movement. So Heath and I are actually starting not a new party. It's not a ruse for a new party.
An institution.
They're setting up an institution. It'll be called the LNP or the Liberal or Liberal Party, Liberal Reform Association. Okay. Right? And this will just be the mechanism because the party structure across Australia is fractured. There's a sort of the federal division is, if you like, a separate entity. And, it's hard to work out who actually elects the president. Basically, I went down to 2 federal conferences going back, 10, 12 years ago. I went down because I was a mate. All the appointments seemed to be just mates. Who could go? You want to go, Hakey? Yeah, right, I'll go. And I think this is what's happening all around Australia. It's not good enough.
It's not.
The people in the federal, the federal election, whatever is in this area here, they should elect a delegate, or you even have the members go themselves. I rather like the idea of the delegates for the administration side because it's just sheer numbers thing. They should go to a federal convention and they should then vote for the guy that is going to run the party. And in this way you can get in really strong leaders, the sort of people we're going to need probably 6 state leaders who run the party. You need people who have been successful in business, right? Know how to run things because the party's a business. Its job is to win elections. That's its job. Its job isn't to give politicians a job. Its job is to win elections and then get the party policy implemented. And the party policy has got to be determined again by the party itself through the members. Not just this, we think this is a good idea. Most conservative-minded people that would join a political party got a pretty fair idea what needs to be done. So you have that that sort of structure. And you've got a bit of a separation, and you've got the big advantage of electing the parliamentary leader is he or she has tremendous power, because we don't adopt the British system where the members vote in with a list provided by the MPs. Was Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak, were they number 1 and 2? No way, they were 5 and 6. The best 4 were, no one's going to vote for them because they might be there for a long time. But it's really my turn in coming up in 2 years' time. That's how politicians think.
Right.
So what was the point I was leading
We were
to?
talking about the Liberal Reform Association and how it'd be a complementary thing for the Liberals to keep it on track with members' rights.
Basically, we've got to build a federal head-on to the Queensland LNP, because it's a constitutional year, so a lot of concentration on it. It's the most successful constitutional structure, I think. It's got a few problems, none of which are hard to fix. You just introduce one vote, one value. You could leave the structure pretty much as it is. It's successful.
Yeah.
And then you'd build sideways. You'd build a Victoria, New South Wales, empty divisions, make it a national body, and then you'd invite each state. I mean, Victoria's a basket case. The Constitution has 36,000 words in it.
But it's
Australian Constitution's got 4,500. Now, the reason you put 36,000 words in is because you want to control everything.
Yeah.
You literally can't do anything. Oh, there's a rule, so it's on page 47, paragraph B minus, whatever. That's unfixable.
But it's the only one that's justiciable, though.
Well, that's the other thing. The whole thing's got to be justiciable.
But I'm saying, like, the only one that the judges can act as the referee is the Victorian Constitution.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so big. I think that they're deliberately, as you say, made it so convoluted.
Well, you've got, we've set up heaps of companies limited by guarantee. I mean, you just use that particular mechanism and you'd write the Constitution in it. And the LNP Queensland one's really quite brief. It's not bad. What they've done, they've got pages that they've got to be 4 times the size of Bible rules. So the controlling people, they find a way.
Yes.
Okay. So what you would do then, like in Victoria's case, is you'd say, well, you can either come in as a group, right? All the members can say, okay, we're going to jump in. We'll go with these other rules, which are simpler than what we've got. And you want the states, although they're part of if you like, a national organisation, you really want them more separately autonomous. There's no reason Queensland's LNP. There's no reason why the Victorian Party can't just be Lib. That branch can be Liberal only in New South Wales. I mean, it's not an exercise in combining them. Each state will make its own decision on that. And, it might be hard to write some rules in to allow them to do that. So that's how we'll grow it. And the idea of the Reform Association is, I think there's 50,000 people in the country that would probably throw $20 into the bin, and they'll all get to see where it goes, and then we can promote this concept. I think it's people are really worried about, the immigration, housing. How come we've got a superannuation system where everyone, 12% would be wages, anyone under 40, if this was just made voluntary, the contributions level will drop down to about probably 5%. 5% of people, most people would say, hang on, I think a house is more important. I want to save for my house. Well, you'd be in that boat, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Why on earth would you want to lend money to the Labor Party for 40 years?
Graham, you've sinned again. You've sinned. People don't know about this. They don't know about the unions and the hand in glove with Labor, and they don't know about the superannuation funds and how they use that. Can you please explain that to people? Okay,
well, the Jane Hume did a really good job for the Labor Party, with the stapling stuff.
Jane Hume of the Liberal Party?
Well, I'm not sure where she is, but she used to work for the Labor Party.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, no, yep. She used to work for the Labor. Oh, she worked for Australian Super or something, and she's in that field.
Sure.
But what she did, the biggest fund manager in the world is Vanguard, and it's an index fund. Right? Charges 0.25%.
Mm.
You just remember 0.25%. Right? They went through a process for 2 years and couldn't get a licence to be a superannuation fund manager in Australia. They've got a secondary one tied up with someone else. But the average level of fund fees of these industry super funds is 0.75% to 1%. And that's what you see down the layers where there can be no sort of trustee control. Let's say I'm the trustee, I'm giving, you're an investment fund manager, okay, I'm giving you, $100 million to invest for us. You then give the money to Joe Blow's firm over there. You're only answering to me. What happens down there and over there that you've invested is another story.
You don't know.
And the only way you can control that is give the ultimate control to the people who are putting their own money in. It's their money. You've got to let them say, well, hang on, I don't want to do that. And they can come back in. I mean, I've got a lot of superannuation. I'm not pleased about the new rules, I can tell you. And I just made that decision. So I'm not opposed to super. It's wonderful.
Yeah. But
I sure as hell had a house before I started doing it.
Sure.
The 2 houses before I started doing it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Am I boring you?
No. I'm curious exactly where the money goes. What sort of programs are they putting it into, Graeme? How does the superannuation fund from Larry and Jenny out there, millions of dollars, retirees, how does that end up getting to help the Labor Party get re-elected? I mean, how could you even?
Well, you've got. I mentioned it before. I'm giving you. I'm a trustee of a fund. I'm giving you $100 million. You're a fund manager. You're giving it to that entity and to that entity and to that entity, and to get a return. But I don't have any competition. So, gosh, John, you weren't very effective. You only got 7% last year. No, you didn't. You got 15%, but I only saw 7. That's how it goes on. And it's just, it permeates through the system.
Right.
And of course, they've also effectively started to control the boards of the public companies, and they were the DEI rubbish.
So they use their stake in the companies with your money to push DEI on the boards.
Yeah. Mainly because I think they got bored. There's only so much.
Oh.
After a while, you get making a lot of money, you get bored and sick of it, so you want to do something else.
But is this why we see companies like Qantas, Coles, Woolies, the big 4 banks all backing The Voice, for example?
They know where their bread is buttered.
Okay.
Right? The other, probably the final point, I haven't bored you, stupid, is
no, not at all.
Who are the respective constituencies of the 2 major parties in Australia? The ALP is the public servants. I haven't talked about the public sector. Before we go, I'll do that.
Absolutely.
The public sector, the beneficiaries are served by the public sector. The universities, probably 80% of teachers in the public system, probably only about 30-40% of the nurses. Most of them are very conservative. I figured that one out. The unions themselves, big business. Nearly all of the union, non-government union membership is through big businesses, through EBAs, where, because there's a limitation and only ALP unions can negotiate them, you find firms like Coles and Woolworths and Kentucky Fried and all those major firms, they don't pay penalty rates at the same level as their smaller competitors on the award.
Right.
And all the changes to the casual rules were designed to penalise small business.
Mm.
Now, who's left? Well, small business, the employees of small business and the owners. They are a pretty tight bunch, a lot of them. And the other one, this is the interesting thing, the workers of big business. The checkout chick at Woolies She's a conservative.
Yeah.
She doesn't want a change. The HR manager, Labor. Oh, DEI, very important. I write all that, I do that. So there's your group. But you add up all the employees, the wage-earning employees and the tradies, CFMEU, 80 to 90% of them would not vote Labor.
Yeah.
They're on 200 and 250,000.
Yeah.
In Queensland we're having a bloody inquiry in to find out whether they're bad. We should be running a parallel inquiry to find out whether water is wet. I mean, really? Just let them leave. 19,000 out of the 20,000 CFMU workers in Queensland would leave tomorrow if they thought they could go onto a bloody construction site without having to have a CFMU ticket. Just let them go. Which means, of course, changing the law to allow alternate unions to form.
Right. That doesn't exist right now, is that right?
Well, we get around it because we've got our own law firm and we can, in practice, do what they do, but they hate us for it. But there shouldn't just be us. It should be anyone who wants to form a union should be able to do it.
Sure.
And so you have a proper competitive marketplace.
Yeah.
And the CFMEU, essentially what commercial construction workers do is not that much different from house building, right? House building, they don't do form work, most houses. So, and commercial construction is mainly form work, but just a specialised form of carpentry, right? We know the number of union members in the house building industry is about zero. If you remove the requirement to have a CFMEU ticket, you need to set up alternate union structures, enterprise unions in the short term. But within 5 years, they'd all leave, and they'd all be at the same level of union membership as the house building workers. It's the same guys, right?
Right.
House building guys can go on the construction side, and if they're a carpenter, they can learn how to do form work pretty quickly. Mm. And the guys that are form work, with a bit of a brush up, they can go and work on a house as well. There's the different skill levels, but they're good. They can adapt. So that's how we solve the problems. But the final point, the public sector. Why do we have? You're in a business. You have to, look at. You have to get members in, and you have to earn an income. And if you don't have sort of viewers, then you're not going to have an income. So you have to perform. The public sector's different. They don't have to perform. Minister. Oh, yes, we can do that. Oh, we hadn't thought of that. What a good idea. We shall provide this service to the people. Yep. Whatever. And then 12 months later, you have a look and say, well, please, Sir Humphrey, can you report back on what happened? Well, it started off well, but we actually ended up not doing anything. So how much did it cost? Oh, it was only 55 million, but why didn't it work? Oh, we didn't really have enough resources for it. What happens to Sir Humphrey? Nothing.
It increases in money.
So what should I do, says the politician? More money. So if there was better resources.
Yeah. We're getting serious about it. We're putting another 20 million towards this every year, plus the other 55 million on top every year.
Well, we have, we're really personal knowledge and well developed about the health system in particular. We have a pretty good health system. It just costs probably 3 times more than it should. That's all. 3 times more than bloody should. The ratio of bureaucrats to nurses, for every 10 nurses in the health system, all of them, by the way, between 4 and 5 bureaucrats. The ratio should be 10 nurses, 1 bureaucrat. You don't need 5 administrators for every nurse. Now, it's not the best metric for measuring, but it's an emotive one. And it just demonstrates the fundamental problem. So the first call on, of course, the health budget to pay is obviously the administrators come first, and the nurses come second, and everybody else. So it's possible to reform the system, but I would suggest that there's no one in Australia that could really do it, would have the patience to do it. You've essentially got to give the work that's currently being done by bureaucrats right across the board. You've got to outsource it to other people, other firms, preferably for-profit firms, You'd simply say,
KPMG sort of thing.
well, no, just to, to do anything.
To do anything, right?
Yeah.
Right. Not just run the model.
Not for profits. There's nothing virtuous in a not for profit. I know. I've set them up. You just set up a service company and just milk the money out if you wanted to. And we do it all. We do it the other way around. But we have an open process. But why wouldn't you just give the money to tender and whatever? Let them provide the services. Why should?
Yes.
Why should there be public servants handing out licenses?
Yes.
And registration stuff. I mean, this is AI could do 90% of it.
Yes.
So there needs to be a change of thinking where politicians have got to stop saying, oh, that's a good idea, we'll get the government to do it. They've got to start saying, well, let's undo everything that the government's doing.
Well, that's what we're seeing in the US, isn't it, with the Department of Government Efficiency and Doge, and they've got a national debt clock online, which actually shows you exactly how much they've actually cut. Sorry, I don't know why this ad is coming up, but the Doge clock, shows that the national amount they've cut is $617 billion and going up, whereas the national debt is 37 trillion. And so, look, we very much need a Doge in Australia to go after some of these institutions that are being weaponised against the Conservative side.
Well,
how does one do that?
Who wins? So why have we got high? Why do we have high immigration? Who wins? You've always got to follow the money. Who's making the money out of this? Developers, yeah. But I don't think, they're sort of pretty open and obvious.
Well, we see them as more conservative, wouldn't we? More in the Liberal Party camp, right?
Well, the more people are, the more units they're going to sell.
Sure.
No, the public servants have realised that anything that creates disharmony and dysfunction in the community creates more jobs for public servants. Who are the beneficiaries of this immigration? We need more schools, we need more hospitals. Who organises that?
Yeah, we need more language services. We need more, this and that, and LGBT.
All the dysfunction. We need more police, because they're raping our girls and whatever. That's more a coast problem in England, but.
Yeah. Well, can I ask about? You touched on the developers. It's the biggest construction sites that always have CFMEU pretty much there. What is that relationship like between the developers, who a lot of people view as being the Liberal Party, and the unions, which is, as we've discussed, is more a Labor Party? How does that work, that dynamic?
They're in partnership together. The Master Builders Association and the CFMEU are in partnership together. 30 years ago, I read this little labour hire agency, who I think we had about 500, 600 people at the time, I think. And we decided to get into in the construction industry. And I had a look at it and said, Jesus, this is going to be messy. But it turned out a mate of mine, I was in a gourmet club with Bill and Aldo Bavacqua, and it was a builder in town. I said, how do you do this? Because you don't seem to have any problem with the CFMEU. And he explained to me how he did it. He said, I left the Master Builders Association, and then I got all my contractors to promise me, and he was an Italian, right? So there's a promise is a bit more, has more meaning.
Yes.
And he said the promise was that they would not stop work. If the union officials came on and said stop work, whatever, I required them to continue working. So the unions couldn't stop the work.
There you go.
And so I did a bit of homework, and David Russell QC, is still a friend of mine. He then showed me. He said the problems in the contracts.
Right.
So the Master Builders Association contract basically defines a stoppage, industrial stoppage, as an act of God. He said what you need to do is make these changes, and he wrote out. It was about 3 or 4 lines, probably, and he said, that's what you should do. So I got in touch with the Housing Industry Association, and I said, this is what we want to do. And they said, oh, shit, that's a good idea. So the wording's actually, I changed the wording not to change the legal meaning, so it fitted into the context of the HIA standard contract. So I don't want to take any credit for it, but I can say that's actually my wording.
Sure.
David Russell's idea.
Yeah.
And what it essentially meant was that when the union guys came on the site and they'd go, the standard thing was, right, there's a bunch of brickies over there and there's some scaffolders here, and they'd see the brickies weren't in the union, so they'd go to the scaffolders and they'd say, righto guys, the site's black, stop work. And they'd just automatically stop. And then they'd walk over to the site manager and say, the brickies have stopped the site. And you look over and the brickies are still working. The scaffolders have stopped work. And what that wording in the Housing Industry Association contract did was it made the scaffolder liable, not the developer. And we explained that to them. And before we actually started the sites, and I did it in conjunction with a major formwork contractor named Ronnie Jenkins, great guy. And we explained it to everybody. The Housing Industry Association backed us. We even got supply contracts in. Because the suppliers hated this sort of business. Oh, stop work, stop, don't send the concrete to that place. Yep. And they just do it. And the suppliers hated it.
Yeah.
So we developed a supply contract, which was pretty easy. It was only half a page.
Mm.
And I remember people say, oh, no supplier's going to sign it. Bullshit, they all signed it. They couldn't sign it fast enough. So what would happen is the phone call would come through from the union saying, oh, the site at such and such a place, that's black stone, don't send any concrete. And it's, oh, look, I'm right with you, brother.
Yes.
But I've signed this contract, I've got to send it, I can't stop it.
Yes.
And we built about a dozen sites, over 2 years, we built a dozen sites without the CFMEU. All the guys were in the CFMEU because they needed that ticket. So that was 30 years ago. Look, I've done a little bit of homework with a few builders around town. Mm. The mechanism's a little bit different today, but not that hard that you couldn't fix it. It'd be easy to fix.
Yes.
It's going to be difficult when there's an inquiry going on where the minister wants to get political capital out of it. If you just wanted to fix the sites, you'd just do it differently.
I'm trying to find that footage in Queensland of the CFMEU guys, some of them, I do believe it was them or someone else, holding a line and keeping people, locking them out of a site. And you've got a bunch of islanders, they just want to go to work. They just want to get in. Yeah. Rami, if you're able to find that, bro, I'd love to show that to people. And look, this reminds me of what my dad used to talk about 30, 40 years ago, because they came up in the construction industry, they were brickies, they did every trade on the site before they went on to become architects and builders. And he used to complain and said, and this is like Lebanese, Syrian, like on the site, Christians being like, we kicked their asses off the site if the union guys tried to come and intimidate us because they were made of tougher stuff. They don't make men like that anymore. but this is like, I agree with you. I think a lot of these guys would leave the unions if the law changed tomorrow. 90,000 would go. So there's actually, it's a bit more complicated. There's actually 3 layers of bureaucracy. Yeah. Right. The first layer is you can't set up an alternative, and we can sort of get around that. Mm. But we can't get around the next 2. The next one is no worker can go to a Master Builders Association site, particularly a government site, and work without having a CFMEU ticket. And that's policed by the Master Builders Association. They don't send the guys around, they just tell their members, look, we've got to do this, otherwise, all of us will get picked on, blah, blah, blah. That's basically the story, Right. We all hate it, yeah. Then the third level is the number of what they call tier 1 construction firms. Right? There's There's 4 of them in Queensland. Only 4. Which ones are they? Mirvac, Masterton, or something? No, there's you don't have to name them. Toowoomba, there's 4 of them. Yeah, sure, that's all right. And they're good. They're good guys. But they don't have. There's 4 of them. The good news, they don't have phones that can talk to each other. Yeah. It's an what is it? An oligopoly? Is that what we
It's
call
an
it?
oligopoly.
Sure.
And it's actually policed by lots and lots of regulation. So what the consequence is, nearly all government contracts are effectively cost plus.
Yes.
It's complicated.
No, I follow because I did it. I did property economics, so I understand that side. So cost plus being,
Whatever the cost, yeah, well, here's the contract, but it's sort of cost plus. If the union kicks up, well, and there's extra cost, we'll pay for it. So
they just blow it out.
and everybody's making a quid.
There's
as
risk to
taxpayers, we're
stay.
paying double.
Sure.
And we've got the Olympic build coming up.
Yeah.
That's going to be treble.
Yeah. Can you explain to people why the costs blow out so much? Obviously, they really milk things like, there's a little bit of rain, there was a little bit of this and that.
Well, the industrial disputation is never excluded. I mean, I haven't actually looked at the actual contracts. I'm talking about the general principle.
Sure.
But I can pick. I can follow money trails. I know how it works. So what happens is that so and so gets one of the Hutchison Builder's another big one. He's a good guy. He's a really good guy, but he's one of the four, right? So they get a contract to do it. Then the CFMEU blows up, and all of a sudden it's got to be has to be changed, and there's a contract add-on. Well, it's pretty tempting, isn't it? How much exactly did the CFMEU cost? Was it okay? It was only an extra $1 million, or was it $2 million? I think it was closer to $2 million. Wasn't it? I mean, I'm not suggesting that Hachi does that, but it's human nature. Right, the nature of the stuff is it's so complicated, and everybody's making a quid out of it.
Yeah,
and then you've got the political payoffs, and that happens. Any LNP politician that's ever taken money from a local builder in excess of probably 20 grand or something, and that the local builders will give you that sort of money.
Yeah,
they're not going to give you 50 or 100.
No.
Unlikely.
No.
And that's what happens. The money just gets laundered out through a local firm, and it's always let's not change this just yet. This system's been going for 50 years, right?
It makes me sick, and this happens all the time at council. All the time at a council level. The council level is one of the most corrupt, and they sell themselves so cheap. It's insane.
Yeah, 10 grand. Or less, yeah. And
because as you guys may know, the bloody councillors are the ones that are approving a lot of these projects on the front line and actually saying that. Rami, is it just me, or was it hard to find that footage of them brawling? Like, did they scrub the internet?
Well, I managed to find one.
Okay.
It's all blurred out. If you want.
It's all blurred out. They see that. What is this? Rewriting of history. Can you at least bring that up? Is that possible?
Yeah, sure. Oops.
That's all right. Number 6.
There you go.
Oh, this is very important.
Yeah.
See, the CFMEU are the fall guys. It's always all their fault.
Right.
If only we could keep them under control.
Sure.
And of course, and the John Setka was marvellous at this. I mean, I thought bashing his wife was probably a bit far, but it was part of the thing. They're meant to look bad.
Yes.
Because the politicians are terrified of them.
Yes. Is that what this inquiry is all about? It's just for the fall guys?
Oh, I like Stewie Woods, but it's going to go for 2 years. What is there to understand? And the one thing that they will exclude will be the option of letting the 19,000 of the workers leave and join something else. Can't have that in the terms of reference.
That'll ruin it for everyone.
Well, there'd be no inquiry. You'd be inquiring about 1,000 rat bags wandering around the city, and the other 19,000 will be happily working somewhere else.
Yeah.
There's no political capital in that.
No.
Well, I think there's enormous political capital in that, but the problem is politicians don't understand how any of this stuff works, so they can't conceive of where it's going.
Sure. They're just the The politicians, I think what's happened with the Liberal Party, in my opinion, someone who used to be on the state executive explained it to me this way. They said, Joel, you need to understand that the Liberals were very much a bit like a club. You'd go there for networking for a time. It was the place to be. Now, the problem was you don't have the true believers basically got drowned out. The true believers that were there for the values of Menzies, the We Believe statement, over time it got flooded with people that wanted to climb the greasy pole, just there for networking, and willing to compromise their values for that. And the problem with that is over time, you eventually lose the true believers once they get in there. And a lot of people have said that to me over the decades, that's why they left. They're like, oh, is that what you guys are about? Okay, well, I'm out. So you lose all the competent people. So what you have is a mechanism where competent people come in, people with money, people with know-how, accountants, lawyers. They come in, they come in to solve a certain issue, and then by the time they get to Canberra, they have sacrificed so much of their values, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
And that is the machine. It's almost the purpose of the machine, intentional or not.
There's no penalty on them. And that's essentially what we've got to bring back into the system. There has to be a penalty. If you don't do what your members want, then you lose your job.
Yes.
All right? Now, I'd like to think that we'd have a vast improvement in the quality of the politicians. I doubt whether that'll change. They're pretty much the same. But one thing we are missing is we don't have any A graders.
No, we have such a shallow talent pool. It's insane. Like, if I can say so, guys, the idea that I have a show blows my mind. I'm like, hang on, where are the Alan Joneses where's the next generation of Alan Joneses? Nowhere to be found. It's insane to me. I look at the US and I blush because of the amount of talent I see there. I'm like, where's the talent in Australia, guys?
Well, our media is falling apart here, which is, and deservedly so, I might add. Deservedly so.
Yeah.
It's just, the model doesn't work anymore. Because our office used to be in the Courier Mail building in Brisbane. And it was fascinating. The building was built for 2,600 people. Both the Courier and the Australian were operating with around about 350 people. I mean, we were only, one stage we had 90 people during the pandemic when we had a heap of volunteers come in. So that was good fun. But it's only tiny. And the journos are overstretched. Overstretched. That's the other thing I talk about too, where Jack and I own the name Australian Journalists Association. So we've actually I've been trying to get this thing done, and hopefully that'll be coming out. I've been saying for a month now, for ages, but we've just got to tidy up the website. And that's going to be important because we think there's probably, 500 to 1,000 conservative, would put you in that sort of category, conservative journalists. And essentially the union, if you can call it that, well, it's a professional association really, it'll have basically two policies. One is free speech, and the other one is freedom of assembly, which I think is going to be rather funny because all our members, the few of them are going to be employees and say, well, the government doesn't trust you because they don't believe that you should be able to choose who your union should be. That'll go down well. Oh, by the way, give us a good run on the story. Yeah, right.
Exactly. I discovered this during the pandemic. I was looking to do what I do now, which is go and cover protests in person, and I was very quick to discover, to get some credentials, show something to the police when I'm there that I'm media. I'm small. I'm not Channel 7, but I'm media, and I very quickly discovered nothing like this exists, and we actually really do need that to have that sort of collective bargaining and protections, and it is sorely needed.
The main thing will be because most of you guys are self-employed now. Right? That's the new medium. So you need the real protection you guys need is a bit of advice on how to do contracts, and we'll set up some standard sort of contracts so that everyone's clear on who's responsible for what, and then we'll have. What the main thing is protection against defamation. That's where you've got the stopper, the stopper writs.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got Ard and I got together on this, so we're going to do that. It's in the sort of the back pile.
You're full of ideas, mate. You're full of ideas.
I've been working on it for ages. It's just the website just needs probably about 2 days' work.
But there's people that are listening that have probably not even conceived of something like, how do you start a union? How are the superannuation firms, screwing the country? How do you actually set up something that's like a union for media to protect us from defamation? These are critical things that protect the culture, that are actually the mechanisms behind elections and why their country's gone to the crap. And this is the first time they're hearing about it. I mean, why aren't you on Sky News, for example? Why don't we hear this stuff?
Well, to be fair, we've only just started to put it together. Running but I don't really run the Red Unions. But all the stuff that we do takes. I'm 77. It's my retirement. It's been good fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about it, but it takes a lot of time. And these are really important issues. The constitutional change one is the main one, because that'll be World War III. But I just know that the vast majority of what we'd call non-liberal progressive people, they're the ones who voted no to the voice.
Yes.
60%. In Queensland it was 70%. It was actually 80% because 10% didn't vote.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't vote because they were dead set in favour of it and just didn't want to go. They were opposed. It's probably 80%.
At least half. Yeah.
So there's and you come back finally to the system of who would be if the members were going to vote for the leader of the Liberal Party in Australia.
Yes.
There's only 4 names.
Yeah.
Canavan.
Yeah.
He'd be top of the pops. Antic. Price is a leader. She's a leader.
She is. I think they're.
And Barnaby, and of course the other one. The Canadians are saying that the person doesn't have to be in the Parliament.
That's right.
Bring Tony back.
I think Tony absolutely should come back. Tony Abbott is someone that is so underutilised. It makes me really angry.
Well, I mean, under this system, all the members in Australia would vote.
Yes.
There might be other people as well.
Yes.
And there'll be a voting process, and the top guy will come out. I mean, I would have thought that Tony Abbott would probably be a pretty good Prime Minister, particularly since his colleagues would not be able to get rid of him.
Well, yes.
Right?
Yes. Well, this is the problem. I was talking to, I don't want to betray his confidence, but I was talking to Tony the other night, and he was remarking how ridiculous it was that in late 2020, I think it was late 2020 or early 2021, John Anderson, the former Deputy Prime Minister, National under, for those that don't know, he was the National under John Howard. He was the acting Prime Minister during 9/11 for this country. Great man. I happen to go to the same school as the guy. And he didn't end up winning that pre-selection despite having a massive following with millions of followers online, a former Deputy Prime Minister of your party. But no, he's got no value to us in the Senate. It's like, are you kidding me?
Who was the general who died recently?
Yes, Molan.
Jim Molan.
But he was of the Liberals. Yes, and then they put
How did Jim Molan? Eventually, they did force to pre-select him for the Senate position, but then they put a rider on. You weren't allowed to run a second time. Holy hell!
Insane. Insane. And then who took Molan's spot? Maria Kovacic, who was so left wing, she was basically approached, I believe, by the Teals to run for them at one point. I mean, she ran in my area of Parramatta against Andrew Charlton, and I voted for Andrew Charlton over her. She is that left wing. I do not like her.
Well, I mean, I think people have started to work out that the people who control the Liberal Party in New South Wales, they have a client base, and they don't care whether they're in power or not, as long as the members who are in government agree with their view. This is where this net zero crap comes from.
Yeah.
Right? Because those people have got there with some help from the right people. And that's the price they pay. I mean, even the accidental unit buyer. Otherwise, this goes with that Suzanne. I mean, she wasn't even going to win a pre-selection in her own electorate.
Yeah.
And I am told the people from Sydney went out and said she's it. Yeah. So anyway, the problem's not with the accidental unit buyer; it's the people who selected her.
Graeme, I want to quickly cover. Did you find that video?
Oh, yeah.
Mate, I think it's ridiculous it took as long as it did. They clearly have washed the internet of this and gotten people, places to take it down. It's still blurred. Isn't that crazy?
You can sort of see what's going on.
You're a shame, buddy. You're a shame.
Oh, these are just wankers. Look, there's 20,000. About 1,000 are wankers.
Yeah. Is this the footage, mate, where they tried to go in? And then do you know the one I'm talking about?
I think I know exactly what you're talking about, but that I couldn't find.
Mate, what have they done to that footage? I mean, how have they this is memory holding. That's what we call it, memory holding, where they get a historical thing that's happened, and we all remember it. We know the one we're talking about. It was a Queensland construction site. You had a bunch of big blokes. They were all linking arms, but they couldn't stop the Islander guys from getting through and trying to get onto the site to work. And it's like the Islander guy doesn't want to be a part of this. He just wants to go and put food on the table for his family. Is that too hard? And I can't find that footage. And that should tell you everything you need to know about these guys and the circles that we've covered on this.
Oh, look, they're very well resourced.
Did you check TikTok?
That I didn't search, no.
Check it now. I really want to find this, because if once we have it, they can't take it down, because it'll be on Rumble, it'll be on Telegram. Sorry, Graeme, this really stirs me. Being someone in the media, if they're able to memory hold stuff like that, it really stirs me the wrong way. And I know if we get this on record here right now, this is the one place people can very easily find it. And because this podcast, I mean, on a bad week, we'd get about 2 million views a week. But on a good week, like over the last month, we've been doing 1 million views a day. And if we can get that out there so people understand CFMEU, bad. CFMEU, Labor Party. CFMEU, unions. Like that's...
Well, but the CFMEU are in partnership with the Master Builders Association. I mean, they're in commercial partnership, one with the superannuation fund, the bus fund. They've got in Queensland, it would be the same down here. There's a redundancy fund. They've got a labour hire. I think they've got a labour hire organisation. They've got an apprenticeship scheme, and there's 2 or 3 other businesses. These are actual commercial businesses. If they're so bad, how come they're in business with them? It's been a very, very fruitful and productive partnership. Bit like an unhappy marriage in some respects.
Yeah.
Bit of hall sex goes on, I think, but
yeah.
But they stay together for the kids, or they stay together for the money.
Yes. Do you think, to an extent, I mean, with these relationships in the government, do you think that that's why certain rules, for example, during the pandemic, Coles and Woolies, Bunnings were able to do certain things, whereas maybe some of the smaller stores weren't able to? Or
there was absolute favouritism towards the big business. The big business were in partnership with the ACTU, because how they deal. See, they have special deals which aren't available to their small business competitors, and the quid pro quo is they organised this. That's why they didn't want any competitors. And ScoMo actually tried to get rid of us. They almost put us out of business, actually. I think.
Really? ScoMo?
Yeah, it was James McGrath, actually. We owe him a huge vote, buddy, thanks. Yeah. He actually went out and lobbied to stop it. No, what ScoMo had done a deal with Sally McManus, because they wanted to stop a little tiny union in Melbourne called RAFU, and we were sort of confused. I said, you can't close us as well. But he wanted to close us because we were in the road, because they wanted to do a deal. Now, the way the union membership works in Coles and Woolworths and those places is that the quid pro quo for the special deal that those big firms get is that when people come and join, they will join the union and they will sign up for the superannuation fund, REST I think it's called, whatever it is. So Jane Hume's stapling provisions actually favour the big guys, because it doesn't work both ways. when someone leaves Coles and goes to work for Hamburger Bill's around the corner, Hamburger Bill just says, okay, which fund do you want to get in? I'll stay on the one I'm in. Thank you very much. And the hamburger guy says, sure, because he's got no vested interest. But when the guy goes back the other way, Coles and Woolworths have a vested interest in making sure that he A, joins the union, and B, signs up for the super fund, because that's part of the deal that gets them the special lower unit labour rates that they operate under.
Right.
It's been going on for 50 years. And no one's allowed to talk about it. Anyway, I'm talking about it.
No, mate. We found it.
Oh, there are.
Check this out. This is why we really wanted to get out. Just number 6, Rami, if we can get that up.
I'll just try to.
That's insane. Yeah, no, this fight. You'll see it on the big screen right here. So this appears as though and again, I don't have the backstory on this, but some blokes trying to get onto the construction site and basically being prevented from being able to do that.
This is mainly show.
Yeah, right.
It's show.
Sure.
Right? Much yelling and screaming as possible. This is good stuff.
Good for bargaining?
Whoops.
Well, no, it's good because it gives... Everyone thinks that the union's the problem.
Yeah.
Right? The real problem is the Master Builders Association. And
right.
No, we're innocent. No, they're in partnership together.
Yeah.
And they've got the bikies, so there's a national number of bikies that appear, and they make sure that a bit of drug running goes on the site or two, so it all looks bad. Aren't they dreadful, evil? Yeah.
Right.
Well, how come they're getting away? Everybody that goes on the site has to pay $2,000 to the CFMEU.
Yeah.
And 30 million's available then to go to the ALP. Most of it gets wasted.
Yes.
Everyone forgets that.
Well, let's see some of this kabuki theatre then. Check this out, guys.
Oh no, it's not going to play an ad.
No, that's really funny.
Ad, yeah.
No, that's all right. That's all good. Yeah, so this kabuki theatre, it basically it allows throws them a red herring. There you go. They got the full. This is the one. This is the one.
Bunch of thugs.
Yeah, 100%, man. I remember Rennick calling us out at the time. Trying to get in.
Wow.
Just trying to get in. The boys are trying to pull him in. Yeah, trying to pull him in. Isn't that crazy? There you go.
I wouldn't mind betting it was all show.
Right.
How difficult it was to find it?
Because it's good TV. It's
Yeah, but why would they scrub the internet, Graeme, of it? That's what I don't understand.
Oh, maybe that may have been actually a real case, but most of the stuff with the CFMEU is all show.
Okay, right.
Because what they want to do is not have. They don't want anyone to look at why we've only got 4 tier 1s, and in New South Wales will be the same. You might only have 3 or 4. There used to only be 2. Lend-Lease and. Oh, I can't think of the name now. Anyway, they sold the Spanish that got in, but there's only a small number.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And I remember there was a case down here. There was onto the football or cricket stadiums was being built, and there was a big bloody kerfuffle, and the contractor said we're not going to do it anymore. And I remember no one else wanted to do it either. And I thought, probably some funny business going on here. The contractors might have been talking, no, this is your job, you've got to finish this, ours is the next one.
Yes.
Right? So you've got this sort of stuff going on. And everybody, it's all wink, winks, nudge, nudge, and it's got to stop. And the way to stop it is to break the mechanism. So the 3 monopolies have to be taken apart.
I've got a question. You mentioned we need to select the president of the party per se, or the head of the party, the presidential, or the prime ministerial candidate, I guess.
Well, they're separate.
Which is separate.
The president of the party is the organisational guy.
Sure. When I look at the Canada example with Pierre Poilievre, there is one outstanding question there. Is okay, cool. They had 1 million members. They selected Pierre Poilievre. He was running circles around Trudeau.
Yeah.
For months there, even a year. And the media, quite, I think the membership did well in selecting him. But But what happened? Why didn't he win that election in a landslide?
Professor James Allen did an article on it, actually. Hang on. Excuse me.
Right, yeah.
Look, there were a series of things happened. The first was that Trudeau was way left. Way left. And he, they actually do surveys, and they thought there's no way in a blind pit he was going to get up. So he stood aside. Carney came in, and Carney basically got rid of nearly everything of Trudeau's policies. So Carney moved right across to the centre. So that's factor one.
Right.
There was a Trump effect.
As well, there was a Trump effect. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So Trump talking about the Canadian election didn't help.
I don't think so.
Right. Okay.
It probably was nowhere near as bad as what everyone made out, but it was a confusing factor.
Sure.
And the other thing about Canada, which I wasn't aware of at the time, but Jim Allen pointed it out to me, is that there isn't an even distribution of Conservative Party membership throughout Canada. Toronto, they have a silent T, Toronto.
Toronto. Yeah, I was going to correct you.
We got
yeah.
I got a son lives there, just north of there.
Oh, right.
And my grandson, actually, my husband of my granddaughter, he comes from just north of Toronto. It's how the locals pronounce it. It's a Labor left or liberal left city.
Yes.
And Polly lost his own seat.
Well, the immigration is nuts. I mean, the idea that he lost his seat and seeing the amount of immigration they got in, Indians coming in, it's like, what's happened to Canada?
Well, they've got exactly the same problem, and I think that we need to look more closely at who's making money out of it, and why is the bureaucracy? Why are they so supportive of it? So anyway, that was
part of it.
I think those three things played into it, and also there was another party who basically disappeared. Now the Conservatives picked up nearly most of those seats. They probably have only missed out by 2 or 3 seats or something. It's quite close.
Yeah.
He'll get up next time. So the Conservative Party has got to start doing some serious recruiting in the Toronto area out in the east, and
right.
They'll probably win next time. But it's another 4 years. So
you would say that those were the main factors, not the fact that the members picked the person. That's why they lost.
No.
Because you can see how they would counter and say, this is why we should never have given the membership the vote, the opportunity to pick Pierre Poilievre.
Oh, Poilievre would never have been selected by his colleagues. No way.
Right.
I mean, he's actually got conservative policies. Now, the CBC, like the Australia's ABC, only probably not as bad. He said, we'll cut their budget in half. Could you imagine an LNP politician in Australia saying, we'll cut the ABC budget in half?
I don't have the balls.
And Poilievre had lots of, what we'd call traditional conservative policies, and the Canadians are way more left than we are.
Yeah.
When I say we, I'm from Queensland. We're really conservative. But they're way more left than the Victorians are. So that's about all I know.
Sure. I'm just curious. That's the example that comes to mind because we use it. So hey, Canada's got had 500,000 members. Now they've got like 1 million members because they have that opportunity to have skin in the game. Actually pick the leader. There's a buy-in.
The members, what you get for your money, you get to choose the local guy. You get to choose the leader of the country. And in Australia, you'd get to choose the senators and your local councillor and the local mayor. So it's not a bad deal for $20.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, we're going to the Reform Association, and it'll be Liberal reform and LNP reform, and we're not passing ourselves off because there won't be any, logos or anything on because the people opposed to us say, "Oh, you're passing yourself off." No, we're not. We want a large party system. They want a small party system. Now, a small party system means they'll all keep their jobs for a while, another 2 or 3 terms, and then a reform party will start, and probably won't be 3 terms away. It'll probably be less than 1 term away, one party.
Right.
So I'm not proposing to do that, but you get to the stage where you're no longer relevant. It's like, look at Farage. in England. He would
Yes.
win now.
He would. He would. Can I ask, before we get to some of the last things you want to tell some of the viewers about that I might have forgot, you mentioned that, look, a common theme I'm seeing is if you look at the left, they often give you the tactics that we need on the right. So institutions, support, how to campaign, which we're learning, we're very slow on, we're 30, 40 years behind. Can I ask, you mentioned that, look, we kind of need unions and institutions of the right that will actually feed the political sector, whether that's Liberal or a new party or whatever. Can I ask, what we do have institutions that are like that. Where are they falling over? Without naming any, I don't want to punch right, but where are they falling over?
Well, most of them have been captured because the left have got time and they know how to do it. And the right don't understand why institutions are important. I'll say use the term right. They have no idea why they're important. And they don't understand what the left are doing as they do it. They just sort of look like, deer caught in the headlights.
Yeah,
Oh,
stunned mullet.
Yeah. I mean, the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry and all of the chambers of commerce movements around Australia have been totally captured by the left, by the simple mechanism. So the Labor Party think this stuff through. I mean, the CFMEU inquiry in Queensland was actually started by the Labor Party before they lost power. Right? I think maybe the start-up, the Jared Blay would love that. He'd love to continue it. And bang, fall, but chop, 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 take the bait. Shoo! And he goes.
Yeah.
I'm not picking on him necessarily because he's been very, very good. But, they're all like that. I like that. So, when I get sidetracked off that to the CFMEU.
Yeah, so I was just asking, where do the right-wing institutions...
but they're taking over
the think tanks and all of that, like...
I was talking about the ACCI, the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and all the chambers of commerce.
Yeah.
What the Labor government did, they gave them a monopoly on the issue of export certificates. And you say, what's that about? When you're in a free trade agreement, you have to certify that we're exporting to some other country. We have to certify the goods we're exporting are actually made in Australia. They weren't made in China. Just go around a circle.
Yeah.
So they do that by they issue an export certificate. Now, the logical group to do that would be your local accountant because they've got something to lose if they stuff it up. But this has been granted to the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So they've been given their own little monopoly to overcharge, and without that monopoly, they would disappear. Right? Wonder what the quid pro quo is. They've been given a monopoly. Would there be a quid pro quo that they don't want them to support the removal of the union monopoly? Of course there is. So we can't get any...
Yeah.
We had someone on the LNP policy committee who can produce all the conservative arguments except on this one issue. No, we can't talk about that. So that's how they're captured. And as I said, I wasn't joking before. It's a tragedy that we're nearly the biggest conservative institution in Australia.
Yes, it is. No, it is.
It's a travesty.
It is.
It shouldn't be.
And that's what I say with my own craft. I mean, with Turning Point and what we do, 1 to 1.5% of voters use our cards, 250,000 cards at elections, and this show gets, now we're averaging, which is insane, like 1 million views a day in the last month. That's what the new numbers are. And I am embarrassed because it's like, look, don't get me wrong, like we work hard, but I always thought that there were where are the adults sort of thing in the room? Like, where are the people where this is their stock and trade? And it's really enjoyable to listen to you because you've actually had to make it work out how to do a union and just get in and bloody do it. And we need that in everywhere.
Well, we're building a tribal movement because we've got our own red tax, we've got our own accounting taxes.
Yeah.
And the red union law that will grow. Because it's a sort of an obvious service that you can offer people.
Yep.
And I haven't thought what else we can do, but there's lots of stuff because there are commonalities. People like to associate. Necessarily. I mean, even child. What are the automatic solution of the ALP unions, of course, is we must get the government to do something for you.
Mm.
Whereas I would think most workers would say, why don't we let you decide that? Why don't you decide whether you want superannuation or cash? Why don't you decide which school you send your children to and what they're going to learn? Why don't we organise for you to, instead of paying the schools, why don't we give you the money as a voucher? Then you can send your children to your own school. These aren't right-wing ideas. They are just common sense, conservative. Not even say conservative. Common sense, non-liberal, progressive ideas. In other words, let the workers decide. And why do we need? See, the employee arrangements are so complicated and so difficult and expensive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cases where you can do sensible contracting, which gets a better deal for the workers. Like the CFMEU, everyone campaigns, it says, oh no, the workers are doing so well. No, they're not. They're only working 9-day bloody fortnights.
Yeah.
Right? You're in the game. No trouble, 9-day fortnight. Give me a break. You do 11 without looking sideways, and so much for 7.5 hours a day, right? Bullshit. Good tradesmen, they'll do 9 or 10 hours a day.
Actually, if there's a construction port, you're not leaving till midnight. Like if you got to do it until it's done. That's it.
And that's the difference. In that is we've had this 30 years ago.
Yeah.
When we did the sites, and we changed. We made the rules for the sites. The bloody jobs were coming in at around about 2/3 the time. And my business partner, Ronnie Jenkins, he was the formwork contractor. He retired after 2 years because he was sort of quoting on a job that would normally take 6 months, and the bloody thing was coming in at 4 months, right? But he was still getting paid for the 6 months of labour. Whereas I was supplying labour to him, I was only getting 4 months, but it didn't matter. We had another job, we always had rolling over jobs. And, the crane hire didn't go for 6 months, it was only for 4 months. The financing didn't go for 6 months, it was only for 4 months.
Yeah.
And your changes are huge.
Yeah.
That all these little things, you add them up.
Yeah.
And we only stopped doing it because Ronnie said, oh, Graeme, Gwen and I are going to retire. He was a very successful guy, and just the last 2 years he made a mozza and said, we're going travelling, Graeme.
Yeah. No, Graeme, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. But before I ask you for some last comments or anything I've forgotten, because I know we covered a lot of ground, I just wanted to plug your website, guys. This is a free plug for the Red Union. If you're looking for a union, and if you look at their website and you click at our associations part, you've got the Australian Medical Professions Society, you've got various nursing unions for each of the states, you've got the teachers' unions as well. And I just want to encourage you, if you're not already as part of some sort of a union and you're in those professions, please reach out to them, please join them. They undercut all the other unions, and they offer a much high quality support. And I've talked to people that are a member of them. As you heard, there's over 24,000 members of these unions, and I think they did a phenomenal work during. I was like, who's Red Union during COVID? Why are they doing this? Isn't Red communistic? Not at all. Red, they're just they're absolutely red-blooded Aussies. They are true blue in the best sense of the phrase, and they are for Australian rights, and they stood up during COVID and they protected the rights of nurses. And as you heard, they've got accounting now, they've got legal, and it's really good to hear that. But Graeme, I really want to thank you for coming. Was there anything else you wanted to leave the viewers with?
Oh, yeah, the Liberal Reform Association. Give us a couple of weeks. It'll be out. You'll be able to. It's not a new party. It's a reform association. We're going to keep people in the loop, find out who's interested. They will all eventually become members of the constitutional changes the way they'll all become members of the LNP in their own respective states.
Yeah.
So that's important. Just give us a couple of weeks to get that going, and
we'll get you back.
There will be a change.
Sure.
There will be a big change. We'll succeed at this.
Absolutely. Well, look, we'll get you back. That's a promise. And I know that I'm really looking forward to hearing what the viewers think about some of the things you put forward. And I have so many questions we never got to, but that's okay. Well, small bites for the viewers, and I'm looking forward to getting you back soon. But Graeme, thank you so much for your time, and I do appreciate your service and what I see you doing for the country. You don't have to do a lot of this stuff, but thank you for your service. I really do appreciate it.
Well, pleased to do it, and pleased to be here.
Not at all.
Well done.
Ladies and gentlemen, like, share, subscribe, leave a donation in the description. That's how we keep these shows free and fair, so you can get the information about what's going on in this country. God bless you all. I have another episode out for you very soon. Take care.